Welcome to #FinanceMaster. Kick back, relax, and enjoy this week's show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the #FinanceMaster show. Always great to be here with you. Today, a little bit earlier than usual, we had a comment on the event page saying, "Is this at 2 a.m. in the morning?" And yes, it is 2 a.m. in the morning for some. Where I'm at, it's 11 in the morning, so it's a little bit better. But it just goes to show the international crowd that we have here from probably Japan in the east to this was Arizona, but then maybe we even have Hawaii in the west. So great to have all of you here that can be a part of today's show. And of course, if it is 2 a.m. in the morning, I don't expect you to get up for it. But guess what? You can listen to the podcast or you can find the show on YouTube a few weeks later as well. So with that, hello to everyone tuning in from my channel. Hello to everyone tuning in on the #FinanceMaster channel. And hello to those that may be streaming it on YouTube. We are very fast approaching 1,000 subscribers there, so I'll have to adjust my goal for the year from 1,000 to 2,000 subscribers. It's just great building out that channel as well, and another opportunity to showcase the breadth of content we have on the #FinanceMaster show. The rules of the show are simple. We are recording it to be released as a podcast and as a recording on YouTube, as I mentioned as well. You can be a part of the show too. You can ask questions in the comments or just add your perspectives. Last week, we tested a polling feature. We'll have another poll this week, and hopefully the quality will also be better in terms of the feed so that you don't see me stop all the time. We also have another very exciting feature coming up during September. We will try to bring back the old feature we had in the audio shows where guests could actually come up on stage and share their views. Here, you'll come into, let's call it the green room in the back end and have a little chat with my team that's taking care of things there. And then we'll bring you up on camera, on video to share your perspectives as well. We'll see how that goes when we get there. But for now, let's get into this week's show. As usual, we published a blog post this morning in the newsletter Trends in Finance and Accounting, and we are trying to predict the finance function of 2035. Last week, we shared a vision for what it should look like, and this week, we have the strategy for you. So, we released the article called A Strategy for Creating the Finance Function of 2035. So, think AI first to realize the people potential of your finance function. This is the vision that we define for the finance function in 2035. In today's show, we try to get more concrete by outlining a strategy to create the finance function 10 years from now. Ambitious project, I know. No one has done it before. All predictions end in 2030, so why not be the first to go towards 2035? We will use Roger Martin's Playing to Win strategy framework to do that. And the strategy, of course, will be somewhat generic. We cannot make it for a specific finance function, or we could, but then we'll probably have to talk about it offline. Yet we will try to make it as practically applicable as possible. And then in the coming weeks, we will deep dive into the different aspects of the finance function to describe how we see them in 2035. And as we dig into this strategy, please let us know, where are you tuning in from today? It's always great to see where you're from. We always have Mubashir saying Hafiz saying hi from Dubai. So hello Dubai there. Just keep it coming. Let us know where you are tuning in from. And if you have questions, comments, as I said, we'll bring it up on screen and we'll definitely highlight some of these aspects as well. So we undertake this work fully knowing that most strategies will fail to deliver the intended impact. Zooming in on the finance function, it's even more challenging because the tenure of CFOs is among the shortest in the C-suite. And I read a daily blog not so long ago from Fortune, from Cheryl Estrada, saying that it's even going further down. So most CFOs won't see the end of their strategy, which of course means another one comes in with a new strategy. They all want to put their own mark on things, and that's kind of how it is. So when making a strategy for a finance function looking 10 years ahead, it's guaranteed that 9 out of 10 CFOs at least won't get to see it through. That's not necessarily our intention either. Instead, we want to inspire present CFOs to take the first steps toward 2035 and seed the ground for their successes. We also want to help senior finance leaders prepare for future CFO roles by informing them of the building blocks they need today to be well equipped for such roles in the future. This should help everyone build a more concrete roadmap for themselves and their finance functions in the future. And with that, we have our first, I believe, also only poll for today. If it works better, we will maybe have more in the future. So the polling question we have for you today is, do you have a strategy for your finance function? Simple question, yes or no. You can scan the QR code here on screen. I believe we will also post the links to vote in the comments as well in the chat. So meanwhile, we do that. I'm just gonna check in with the audience here. We have Anesha tuning in. Great to see you here. We have Minase from Ethiopia. We have a LinkedIn user, not sure who that is, tuning in from India. Great to have you there as well. And Anesha says she's from Bangladesh. Great. And Meenakshi says, interesting. It is hopefully interesting. But yeah, you tell me. I can see now the links to go vote is actually coming up in the chat here as well. So just do go and put in your votes. We'll try to get back to the results a little bit later. I know if you're watching on your phone, it can be quite difficult to scan a QR code at the same time. So we'll let the poll run for a little bit while I continue to deep dive into the strategy for creating a finance function for 2035. So what does this strategy look like? Well, let's just briefly remind you about the components of Roger Martin's Playing to Win strategy framework, because it's applicable not just for what we are doing here, but for everything that is strategy. It has 5 core elements. A winning aspiration, where bold and measurable outcomes are defined that will set our strategic ambition. Where to play, what design choices will be made for our finance function, how to win, how can the finance function be a source of competitive advantage for the company, capabilities, what critical skills do we need and what core activities must we perform consistently well, and finally, the management system. How are we going to follow up on our strategy and make it sustainable? So let's dig into each of these 5 elements. So a winning aspiration could be, remember we defined the vision last week, so we have to make it more concrete now. So we could say, we will run our finance function on artificial intelligence, but drive and execute decision-making through human intelligence, right? So we are thinking AI first, we run everything as we can on AI, but we need people to drive decision-making, to drive execution. Could be one winning aspiration, of course, not the only potential, but that's our kind of bit, if you will. The winning aspiration is the next step of the vision. Hence, it should make it more concrete and lend itself to measurable elements. So we've also made some suggestions to how you can measure these bold intended outcomes. 5 of them in total. Number 1, how many of our processes are AI enabled? Simple measure. Number 2, how large of a percentage of the individual processes are run by AI? So if 60% of your processes are AI enabled, how many of those 60%, how large a part of those are AI actually running? It would be 60% as well. So 60% by 60%, then 36% of your finance function is run by AI. So that could be a single measure you have in a dashboard, if you will, but concrete, tangible measures here. You can even use these today. Number 3, how fast are we informing our stakeholders and decision makers? Consider today you do month close, management reporting, and then maybe on workday 10, so in the middle of the month, you are ready to inform your stakeholders. That should be much faster, almost in real time, right? But we can get back to the concrete elements of that. Number four, how satisfied are the stakeholders with your insights and support? You can ask them one to one, you can survey them if it's a large population, up to you. But you need some feedback on your performance. I think that's relevant for all of us. And then, are we as a company meeting or beating our targets? After all, if we're not winning as a company, we're not winning as a finance function. And strategy is about winning. Don't let anyone tell you anything else. If you're competing for something where you know with reasonable certainty that you're not going to be number one or close number two, forget about it and redefine the playing field. So these five measures can easily be measured, and you can set bold targets to drive the change and transformation. You can even create a baseline as of today and chart your path to the future. So that's the winning aspiration. So where to play? As we described in our article last week, or the show last week, the definition of the finance function hasn't changed. So we're not choosing what a finance function should be and where it should be involved. Instead, we should choose where AI will play and where humans will play. So we propose splitting the finance function into three parts to structure these choices. And we have taken these from the way Deloitte views it. There's many other ways to view it, but this is kind of a simple approach, so it's easy for everyone to understand and buy into. We have operational finance. This includes all transactional finance activities, such as order to cash, procure to pay, and record to report. Then we have specialized finance. This includes corporate functions such as tax, treasury, FP&A, and so on. And finally, business finance. This is business-facing teams that generate and use insights to drive and execute decision-making throughout the company. Let's dig briefly into these three, but I can guarantee you that next week we'll deep dive even further into these three parts when we talk about the operating model for the future finance function. So operational finance, the ambition should be that we are close to 100% run by artificial intelligence. It's as simple as that. However, of course, exception handling likely requires some sort of human intervention. I guess exceptions will also occur even in 2035, as does oversight of process performance. Therefore, humans are still needed in operational finance, but these will be highly specialized process experts with deep technology insights. They are not there to continuously execute exceptions, but rather to identify root causes of errors and issues and fix them, so artificial intelligence can meet its 100% target. That's operational finance. Specialized finance. These teams will be augmented with artificial intelligence, removing mundane data and related tasks from their scope. They will be primarily responsible for policy deployment within their domain areas, if you're in tax, for instance, or deploying tax policies, and work with the process experts to implement these into the AI workforce. We'll also advise top management and the board on all strategic decisions and leverage artificial intelligence to deliver timely and relevant insights. Specialized finance. And finally, business finance. These teams close to decision makers. They will take co-ownership of delivering on their targets and ambitions. They'll all be enabled by a central AI-driven center of excellence with data analysis and reporting capabilities that will provide them and their stakeholders directly with relevant insights. This means the roles will move away from analysis and reporting to interpreting the latest intel about internal and external changes in the company. This is being done to discuss how to address and improve performance. The main KPIs to measure the where to play will be AI enablement and the percentage of AI in time to insight. Because this is where we make choice about human and how to employ AI. So this is where to play for these 3 parts. And let's talk about how to win. We could start by simply asking, how can the finance function remain relevant in the future? Almost everything related to compliance and control will be done by artificial intelligence. There's only one viable answer in this scenario: improving decisions and performance. The starting point for this, of course, is high quality data, which means setting high standards for operational finance. Second, it means building a central intelligence engine that can deliver clearer, faster, and richer insights, as McKinsey described in their 2030 vision. It must be central, as humans can't make this processing power available locally. Using generative AI, local business finance teams or individuals can query company data for insights into current business challenges and discuss them with their relevant stakeholders. Finally, it means taking charge of the company's strategic agenda to drive the right strategic choices. This may be the most challenging part. However, enabled by AI, it should be feasible to analyze the external context and internal capabilities to derive the best choices. The main KPI to measure the how to win choices will be stakeholder satisfaction and overall performance. So there you go. Now we have the 5 measures in play already. Let's talk capabilities then. A simple way to split these would be into AI and human capabilities. When it comes to AI capabilities, companies would need to make a strategic choice between building them internally or outsourcing them. Realistically speaking, only the largest companies could build these in-house when speaking of the central intelligence engine, whereas most companies would have to rely on using systems with most of the capabilities inbuilt. On the human side, we have frequently reviewed some of the needed capabilities in the newsletter, so we won't dive too deep into them. Instead, you may recall last week we highlighted the top 10 skills in demand in 2035. These are all critical for finance professionals to develop. For instance, technology skills, when it depends on making choices for AI, or creativity or problem solving skills, relationship building skills, when it comes to actually driving decision making execution with your stakeholders. So, those are the capabilities. And then finally, the management system. We have outlined 5 simple KPIs, and behind each, you must establish different initiatives to achieve your ambitions. Each initiative requires support and tracking, but you should also establish overall tracking of the 5 KPIs. Most KPIs can be measured monthly or more frequently if needed, whereas stakeholder satisfaction could be a quarterly follow-up. Depending on your company's size, you may need a central finance transformation office to drive the strategy, rollout, and tracking. You must also solicit feedback from teams and individuals working in the various parts of the finance function. Their insights are critical to understanding strategic progress and what needs to change to increase strategic effectiveness. Okay, that was a long walkthrough of the strategy, but I can easily imagine this being plug and play into any finance function. And then you can tailor it to add the generic specific or the specifics in your company to go with the generic attributes of this strategy outline. With that, a question for all of you. Put it in the comments now. You can put it in the comments later. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment there and we will address it. What role does artificial intelligence play in your finance strategy? Curious to know if anything. Most finance teams are not using it today, but are you actually planning to use it in your finance strategy in the future? So feel free to use that in the comments here. We'll just check in as well. MJ is checking in from Wales in the UK. Another one says valuable and remarkable information. Thanks for that. Keep letting us know where you're tuning in from, of course, as well. Let us know the answers to these questions. And if you have perspectives on this strategy here, do you think it will work? Will it make sense? Feel free to leave that in the comments as well. Want to have your insights as we share ours. I don't know if we got any votes on the poll. If we did, we can bring it up. If not, we can also leave it for another day. Let's see. I can't see how many have actually voted here, but it seems like most is a no. And so it's kind of like 60-40 if I should make an assessment. So most don't have a strategy for your finance function. That's too bad. You should have. If you need help making one, feel free to reach out. Love making strategies for finance to bring these further towards the future. Okay, think about that question. Definitely do give your answers. We will go into the last part of today's show. So you need to craft a winning strategy. As I said, strategy is about winning. It's difficult to say if your finance function is winning against other finance functions, although we do highly recommend benchmarking on a regular basis. More directly, you can tell if you are winning by setting ambitious targets for the 5 KPIs that we have outlined here and tracking positive progress. As we said in the beginning, we know most strategies, also for finance functions, unfortunately, fail to deliver the intended impact. So how can you avoid this when creating the finance function for 2035? The simple answer is to ensure that the strategy doesn't hinge on a few individuals, like a CFO and some senior finance leaders. To avoid this, you need a strong strategy cascade supporting teams at all levels to choose where to play and how to win. This will create a much better anchoring of the strategy. So making these choices is not just for senior management. Every single team in the company should make their where to play and how to win strategic choices. And of course, your choices will be a subset of the overall company choices. You will not be focusing on everything. That's not the idea. The idea is you make choices for your part of the finance function. And if you deliver on those, other teams deliver on theirs, it will add up to an overall strategy fulfillment. In addition, you should make the strategic progress tracking available to everyone and use every chance you get to talk about why the strategy is essential and how you're progressing. Moreover, you need to ensure that sufficient resources, funding, people, and so on are available to execute the strategy. The point is to gather as much momentum for the strategy as possible to ensure it can withstand a few executives leaving here and there, not least the CFO. Because if it's working, if you have progress, it's gonna require a lot for a new CFO to come in and say, oh, this doesn't work, we're gonna do something else. We said it before and we'll repeat it. It's an exciting time to be in the finance function. AI capabilities available today are much more advanced than those a decade ago. We know this because we work with various tech companies. We see their capabilities. It's real. It's not just a story we tell ourselves about digital transformation happening in the future. It's real. You may not have it, but it's real. If history is any prediction, it will be wild to imagine the capabilities available to use a decade from now. That's why you might as well start operationalizing the vision of think AI first to realize the potential already today, because you can do that with what's available. So here's a final question for you. What are you doing today to maybe create that strategy, or if you have a strategy for your finance function, to ensure that it will be a success? Let us know in the comments. Love to have your perspective. Otherwise, we'll just check in more here. Luca says it's insightful. Thanks for that. We also have Umair checking in from Pakistan. So I know it's far in the future. I know. 2035. So heck, we feel like we haven't made much progress towards our 2030 or even 2025 ambitions. So why is it important to talk about 2035? Because we have to continuously move the boundaries of our own thinking of what's possible so that we can be even more ambitious in our strategies, even more rigorous in our execution of those, and even more excited about the future of the finance function. I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. Next week, we will dig even deeper into how this finance function is going to operate. And until then, remember to catch the hashtag FinanceMaster podcast on all your favorite channels like Spotify, Apple, YouTube as well. Or go watch some of the previous shows where we're now in video. Do that on the hashtag FinanceMaster channel on YouTube. We're closing in 1,000 subscribers, so maybe you can be subscribing number 1,000. Not sure if we can do anything about that, but at least it's very exciting to see that channel being built out. Just another opportunity to talk about trends in finance and accounting. Thanks a lot to everyone tuning in today. You can always catch me on LinkedIn if you have questions or want to discuss something or you need help with something. Just reach out. It's free to send me a message. My name is liu-lindberg. I'm your host on the hashtag FinanceMaster show, and I'm signing off for this week, and I'll see you again next week.
You've been listening to hashtag FinanceMaster. Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on the latest trends in finance and accounting.